All right, everybody, welcome to our March meeting for the Bike Walk Commission. We've got a somewhat full agenda today, so I'm going to dive right in. The first thing we're going to do is approve the minutes for our February meeting. I included a link to those in the agenda. Does anybody want to comment on those? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Thanks, Sam. A second? Thanks, Colin. I will vote in favor as well, and that's all of us. Oh, Christine's here. Christine, welcome. I think Christine's maybe not quite.
I am here. Yet. Yep, I'm all here.
She's here. All right. Would you like to vote on the motion to approve the minutes?
I approve the minutes. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Great. Then that is everybody. So we'll move on to announcements. Audrey, since you're here, I think I'll let you make the announcement about Earth Day.
You mean the announcement about Jim Travers?
Yeah, you can include that as well.
Yeah. So last week on Wednesday, Tanner and I went over to City Hall, and it was nice to see some folks in person after such a long time. We stopped in to see Jim Travers, who's Director of Transportation, Mobility, and Parking, and invited him to participate in the Earth Day celebration on the Green on April 23rd, and invited him not only to give remarks, welcoming remarks during the program at noon, but also to lead a walking tour from the library through Wall Street, which is his baby these days, up Little Lewis Street and up to the Green in time for the program. And he sounds interested in taking on that task. And in the meantime, I spoke with Dominique Johnson, Common Council member who has a degree in ecology, and asked her whether she might want to join this walking tour. And she said she would love to. She suggested maybe David Huvelman and Nicole Ayers, who are the District A Common Council members for that particular walking tour. The NRVT, the Norwalk River Valley Trail, is planning a walk to the Green that day from City Hall down to the Harbor Loop and up behind Mill Hill. And the Norwalk Historical Society is going to give a short tour of the of Mill Hill and then over to the Green. Now, Tanner, did you have any luck with Mike Mushak, or one of our planning commissioners, to lead a bike tour?
Yes, I've contacted Mike, and he is willing to lead the bike tour.
And that would be from Sono, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so what we're trying to do is encourage people to walk and bike to the Green for this Earth Day program and celebration, and leave their cars either at home or at a distant site, so it isn't choked up with traffic and parking. So it looks like we're starting to get some ducks in a row for Earth Day for all the right reasons.
Thanks, Audrey.
Yep.
So for those of you who haven't been in previous meetings, this event is on the 23rd. It's going to be in the middle of the day. It's going to have a program that starts at noon. And
in
Audrey
April.
is
yes, April.
Thank you. Earth Day is Friday the 22nd, but this event will be the following Saturday, the 23rd. And Audrey is kind of the glue that's holding it all together. It's a bunch of different community groups that are going to be participating, and it'll be held on the Norwalk Green. So we're excited to have so many people getting on board with arriving and departing from the Green without a car. And that's in large part thanks to Audrey's work coordinating all these walks. So thank you, Audrey. I will be posting about that. Audrey's generated a little save the date flyer, so I'm going to post that on our socials. I think that's all we have for that agenda item. So we'll move to public comment. We have several members of the public here. Would anybody like to make a comment?
If anybody would like to speak, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you.
Tanner, while we're waiting and filling time, who was the first councilwoman that was mentioned?
Nicole Ayers?
Dominique Johnson.
Dominique Johnson.
She's Common Council at large. And David Huvelman and Nicole Ayers represent District A, which is where the town green is located. So sending out an invite, or she said she would reach out as well. And, you know, the more the merrier.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Nicole Ayers. She's
Yeah, me
in
too.
Tracy District.
Yep.
Well, I think we don't have any takers on public comment. If we have time at the end, I'll suspend the agenda or I'll move to, and then give everybody one more chance if public wants to comment. But that brings us to our next agenda item, which is for Greg Pacelli. We have standing updates from TMP. Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Tanner. So the main thing tonight is the connectivity grant, which we've been discussing a lot over the last year or so. Happy to report we've resubmitted the revised design plans a couple weeks ago back to the DOT for approval. So right now we're mainly waiting for approval for the 136 stretch where we have to receive an encroachment permit, you know, in order to proceed with the remaining of the grant because it is on a state-owned roadway. So right now we're just waiting on their review, and we're hoping to get an approval within the next few weeks, as we submitted it to them, you know, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. You know, updated design plans and you know, all the documentation had to go along with it. So they're just reviewing it right now, and they're looking to get their review in, especially in the field. One thing that we did come up on, especially along 136, and speaking to DOT, as we do meet with them almost every other week at this point with this project and other projects as well, is that there is a strong possibility that they may be repaving a good length of Route 136, especially along Wilson Avenue, and then again on 4 Point and Van Zant as well. So there is a potential that is going to be happening this year. So we'll have to coordinate with DOT as far as implementing any of those changes onto the state Route 136 on the various roadways there. So we're, like I said, we're just trying to coordinate with DOT and waiting on traffic engineering, to look at the design that we put out. And like I always say, that they're very excited about it, but again, they're going through their process, and we're just waiting on approval. And then once the approval is done, and then we can, resubmit back to the connectivity group with, the cost estimate, and we can kind of get the ball rolling as far as bid process and get that portion out, and, hopefully, get it going, get the installment process going, as soon as we can.
Thanks, Greg. So a little context again, because we have several members of the public here. The connectivity grant was a grant that was awarded to the city, and Greg, please correct me if I say anything wrong. But it was awarded to the city through a statewide grant program, and it was the proposal that the grant was awarded for was for an east-west and a north-south bike route through the city, the vast majority of which will be delineated bike lanes, and it'll roughly follow 136 from Rowayton to East Norwalk, and then it will roughly follow Richards Avenue through West Norwalk, and then down into Rowayton on Rowayton Ave, I believe.
Correct. Yeah, we'll run from Rowayton Ave up to New Canaan Avenue on Route 123.
Yeah.
So obviously that section, not DOT owned, so we don't need to get approval from that. But we have to wait for DOT to approve the encroachment review on 136 before we can move to the next step of the process. And, they can approve, the money to be spent. And this way we can, we'll put out the project to bid, because it is a large project, so we cannot do it in-house. So we'll have to put out the bid for a contractor to perform the signage and the striping.
One question for me, Greg. It seems like this has gone back and forth with the state DOT a few times, or at least it's spent a lot of time over on their side of the fence. Is this the last time that you anticipate them having?
We're hoping so. Their first review that we sent them, it was rather a lot of back and forth, because there were some areas that were not included in their standard detail sheets, that there was no clear guidance from their end. And, we had to kind of go back and forth with them as far as what they would like to see and how they want it to look like, while still staying inside the, the guidance of, ASHTO and the MUTCD as well. But they're very short-staffed up there right now. And there's a lot of projects going on right now. So, we're throwing, obviously we said this before, this is a very long stretch of a bike route along 136. So they're doing their due diligence and kind of taking their time. And it's not only the traffic engineering portion of it, it's also the traffic operations side of it, out of the district, who was going out and looking at the road in the field to make sure the signage isn't blocking any existing regulatory signage, and just kind of verifying, everything, on the design plans. And that's why we did our best to try to give them everything, up front, and dimension the roadways and so they wouldn't have to go out and do as much. So we're hoping this review doesn't take as long. And usually their review process is standard 4 to 6 weeks, which could turn into longer. So we're hoping that this, this last round will, not be as long as the previous one.
Amen. Any other questions or comments from other commissioners?
Tanner?
Yeah.
I just want to say, I saw in Westport today, their first bicycle infrastructure, a short stretch of street with sharrows on it. About, 800 feet of street with sharrows. So every little bit helps.
That seems like for the town of Westport, that is a milestone.
Yeah. Anyway.
Where was that, Judd?
Where Saugatuck Avenue, just before, I don't know if you know where the VFW is over there on Riverside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. From there right down to where the bridge crossing is over the river.
So they're on Saugatuck or on Riverside Ave?
I think that's Saugatuck. Maybe that's Riverside Ave.
Riverside,
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Sharrows, you said?
Just sharrows.
Right.
But it's something, right?
Yeah.
And then one other thing I just want to add, once this connectivity grant is, once we're able to kind of get this design finalized and we could start advancing the bid process, that's going to once again open the city up for additional rounds of funding for the connectivity grant through other projects, because since we have this one, we're not able to apply for any other future grant funding through this specific connectivity grant. So just another reason why we want to get this in motion, kind of get it to the finish line, and so we can apply for other projects as well.
Good point. Cool. Well, obviously it's out of our hands, but we definitely hope that it goes as fast as you hope.
Yeah, we're hoping. That's why we're trying to, we're taking our time to do it right, so DOT doesn't have to spend as much time on it. So
great. Cool. Anything else from TMP, Greg?
No, that's pretty much it that I can, share with you tonight. That's pretty much it.
Cool. Then our next agenda item is the budget discussion. This is our biggest agenda item. For the last couple of meetings, we've been talking about how we want to use our budget. We've gotten some concrete proposals. Judd, let's talk about yours first. I'll just summarize it and then you correct me. But the proposal is to purchase several, like on the order of 100 helmets, and then stickers that have our logo with them so that we can put our logo on the helmet. And then also some other swag, I think in the form of water bottles. Is that right?
Right. So the way we left it last, and we have pricing from one vendor, we just have to get one more price, was 200 water bottles, 200 drawstring bags, 300 Bike Norwalk stickers, and 160 helmets. That's what we're working on right now. And I just had sent an email out this afternoon to Tanner and Sam and Carly, just asking if anybody knows a second vendor we could price that with. If anybody has any recommendations, I can find something online.
But we had a second vendor for the helmets, right?
Well, it would be nice to get it all from one place, just to keep it simple. So there are these promotional companies, I guess that's what you would call them, that make this stuff and can put a whole package together.
So Judd, I did see that right before I joined this call, and I think the best solution is, so Carly has a helmet supplier, I have a helmet supplier that covers where the helmets are coming from. And as far as graphic design goes, Carly has a supplier that is local and affiliated, so that would be great to use. And then I would just say, like you said, go online, go to stickermule.com, get a quote from them.
Sticker Mule?
Yeah. And I think it's very likely that Carly's solution will be the better of the two, just for quantity.
Okay. I just, Greg, maybe you could comment on this. The city requires 2 bids for things like this. If I'm getting a complete package from one vendor, can I split it up in pieces for my second price? Any idea on that?
So basically you want to buy the helmets separately from the rest of the pieces? Is that?
We have one vendor that will supply everything. But to get a second price, Sam has a vendor who can supply the helmets. And then, we'd still need someone separate for the, I could go to Sticker Mule and the drawstring bags and the water bottles. That would all have to come from someone else.
Right. I'm just, from a purchasing standpoint, they're going to want to see what's being purchased from, each vendor and what specifically, because basically you guys are an extension of TNP. So it's coming out of TNP's budget. So they're going to want to see the 2 bids, because it's anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. It requires 2 minimum quotes. So, they may get specific and say, well, what are you buying from one and what are you buying from the other? And if they're not the same, that may cause them to, throw a flag and say, wait a minute, this isn't the same what you're purchasing.
Okay. So once we get the 2 prices together, should I send it to you and the vendor contact info?
We can discuss, and we can figure everything out in this way. We can get it in the hands of purchasing, and we'll take a look at it beforehand and make sure it's in line before we send up to purchasing, so it doesn't cause any delays or anything, and then we'll send it up to purchasing.
Okay.
Judd, a couple questions for you. Do we save any money by purchasing, like if we went with the vendor that you have already found, the one that allows us to buy everything together, do we save any money by buying it all in one go?
I would think so, but I can't say because we haven't worked on really getting pricing from a second round of vendors. So
yeah, I guess what I'm proposing is that if it doesn't make a difference, if they're going to charge us the same either way, then you could just split it up into 2 transactions, and then we could do a bid comparison, helmets against helmets. That way we can compare against another helmet supplier, and then for the stickers, you could do the same thing, compare against Sticker Mule, etc.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
That might be easier to do.
It's just more work. That's all.
Well, yes.
It's the first vendor is very easy to just send a list to, and we got pricing back within a day. So, but I'll work on it some more. I'll see what I can come up with.
Colin, did you have something to say?
I think the alternative would be just as easy though, Judd, because we'll get an instant quote from an online place, and I've already priced out the helmets through the second supplier.
Okay. I need to get those numbers from you. So,
Yeah, they're in the email chain.
okay. Okay.
I think all of this though can be done offline. The important thing that we do in this meeting is that as a commission, we approve that we all vote and agree to spend money on this. So Judd, if you could throw out some ballpark numbers, then I think that we could just vote on those ballpark numbers. And as long as we come in around that, I think that we can do the purchasing offline.
Hang on here. Give me a minute here.
While Judd does that, I'll bring up another.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
No, I thought I had the numbers here, but
that's all right. Go get them. While you get them, I'll bring up the next budget item, which is pretty straightforward, and that is our membership in the League of American Cyclists. We've been league members in the past. Christine is kind of our liaison with them. Christine, feel free to add to this, but the biggest thing that I see that we get out of a league membership is that we are eligible to apply for status as a bicycle-friendly city, which we've attempted before. And with our recent and upcoming improvements in bike infrastructure, I think that we have a better chance going forward. Then the next time the application opens up will be during the year that we would buy or purchase a membership for. So I think that it's worth it for that. Do you want to add anything, Christine?
Yeah, thank you, Tanner. It's also worth it for the lobby event in Washington, D.C. annually, which is coming up in March, the end of March, and anybody can join. I know
the summit. You're talking about the summit.
The summit, where we meet with legislators to lobby for infrastructure projects for Norwalk specifically. So there's other people from the state of Connecticut with Senator Himes or Blumenthal's, and I mean, it was the rep the last time, but people had asks, right? So one of my asks last time was help us finish the Norwalk River Valley Trail, the piece that was missing back then. So that's a really important opportunity. And they helped pass legislation and put legislation in this latest infrastructure bill, and they won certain things to track fatalities, pedestrian cyclist fatalities is one, bicycle education is another one. So for that reason also.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do have another line item for the National Bike Summit, like attendance fee. So the membership fee for a year is $75. And then to attend the bike summit, if you do it remotely, which is probably how I would end up doing it. I don't think that I can take the time to go down to DC. It's only $55 for that. So I would propose that we spend money on both of those. If there are other people who are interested in attending the summit remotely, I'm not sure if you can share my ticket with me or not. I think we can buy a ticket on behalf of the whole commission.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I'm not sure about that. But if not, I was going to propose maybe in the future that we have at least 2 people going, if we can, 2 members paying for 2 memberships. But if you can share, because I can't attend the whole thing either, Tanner.
Mm-hmm. Let me look that up really quick. Judd, do you have an update in the meantime on these prices?
Yeah, so, for about the first vendor, for the 200 water bottles, 200 bags, 300 stickers, and 160 helmets comes to just a little under 4,000.
And what's the rough breakdown? Like how much of that is helmets?
2,400 for helmets.
Okay.
About $15 a piece for the helmets, the stickers, 50 cents, the bags, $3.96, and the water bottles, $2.96.
Cool. So I think that I would probably then make a motion to approve that we spend 4,000 or around 4,000 on swag that we can give out at events, as Judd has described. I guess we could make that motion now, or I could detail all the other things that we're considering for the budget, and then we could vote on them all at the end, so that we make sure that we're not voting on more than the amount of money we have, which is about 10,000.
Let's do it all at the end.
Okay, great. Okay, so we got that one. We've got the National Bike Summit and the league membership cost. The next one is about
Tanner, how much was the league membership?
Oh, $75.
$75?
Yes, for the year. And then the tickets to the summit are $55 if you go remotely. And I'm looking up right now to see if you can use that for more than one person. Oh, I was wrong. It's 70 for a ticket, not 55. Okay, I'll look more on that in a sec. The next, we have a Q&A question from Sherry Brennan. Sherry says, I thought that at the last meeting it was discussed whether to distribute helmets due to sizing matters. Yeah, Judd, can you comment on that? Did you resolve like what size of helmets we would buy? Are we going to buy some kid size?
No, I haven't gotten that far. So
okay.
I think we discussed about buying almost an equal amount of kids helmets and adult size helmets.
I mean, that sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to comment?
Anybody have thoughts on that?
Well, so we're buying adult helmets because why?
To give to adults?
Why?
No, well, okay, so I hope that we can make somehow, and maybe I'm jumping ahead or this is not the time, but that those helmets for the adults would go to people who are economically disadvantaged.
Yeah, I would assume so, although in the past, you know, we're not qualifying people or anything like that. I mean, we gave out helmets at the bike rodeo and at the, I think, the open house for public works, things like that.
At the bike rodeo, it's kids only.
Okay. Okay.
And it was small, medium, and large.
For kids.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we should have some adult helmets. I mean,
I am all for adults going to economically disadvantaged adults. 100% yes.
Well, I don't think that there's much of a risk of us like wasting money on people who otherwise would buy their own helmets. Like these are not luxury helmets. These are $15 helmets.
Yeah. I just know there's a big need just from doing outreach work that a lot of adults they don't get helmets. Like they're because of the culture, whatever, they're just not, I don't know, they're not thinking about it. I think certain populations know about helmets, have helmets at home, you know, so that's all.
So
but we can
Christine,
move on.
Okay. Then when we actually make the purchase, I think, Judd, you'll make sure to take that into account. As far as our next budget item, though, that is bike racks. So this one, I had a conversation with Greg. Was it with you or was it with Jim about the garage?
I think it was with both of us. We had the conversation about.
Okay, so we discussed that so Jim and Garrett. Oh yeah, you told me that Jim and Garrett were going to go out to the Sono garage and figure out how we could improve the parking inside the garage. It's been brought up before at our meetings that the bike parking that's inside the garage is pretty inconvenient. It's at the far end of the garage. It's the racks are poor. They're the wheel bender racks that are hard to lock to and thus not very secure. Each rack can only fit about 2 bikes that are locked securely, and there's only 3 racks. So it was discussed that maybe we could take the racks that we already agreed upon as the citywide bike rack standard, the hoop style rack, and put some of those in the garage, ideally in a more convenient location.
So Tanner, I can give you a quick update when you're done on that. So.
Oh, you just go ahead.
So Jim did go out earlier, late last week, I should say. And he was looking, for some potential spots, and what they you know, they did find a spot. It is currently occupied as a handicap spot that they would just reallocate the space and move it, you know, to another segment where they weren't getting rid of it completely. They would just move it, you know, to another location. And they would be able to, you know, we would look to replace and to relocate the existing bike rack and put it in a much more visible location for it. I know we had talked about how many racks we can actually get in. We haven't looked at any design as of yet of how many we can actually get in there. But for the moment, you know, I can report that we did find a location within the garage that's much more visible, and we can fit a good amount of bikes in that spot.
Great. Yeah, that's exactly my thought. The other point that I think is relevant to this meeting that we discussed, I think you and I, was that Bike to Work Day is on May 20th. It's part of Bike Month, which Christine wanted me to talk about this meeting anyway, so we can start here. Jim was thinking that we potentially could get these racks installed at the Sono station in time for Bike to Work Day, and then use that to promote both the new bike rack and Bike to Work Day in one, because it's at a commuting hub. I think this is a cool idea, and I would love to see it happen. Greg suggested that if we end up with extra budget that we want to use for a good purpose, but don't have anything more targeted to do with it, that in order to keep our budget for next year, that we could put it towards some of these racks. We could even at that point have an indication, like on a plaque or on a rack somewhere, on a sign that says provided by Bike Walk Commission next to the racks. So I think that this is a cool idea. I'd like to hear feedback from any of you.
I like it. Sounds good.
And obviously oh, sorry, go ahead, Christine. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you can go, Greg. I'll go after.
No, I was just going to mention, I know cost-wise, you know, we haven't done any cost estimates. We haven't looked at how many we can actually fit in. So we did talk about today, potentially, even if, you know, there isn't, you know, enough money to cover it, obviously, with costs the way they are right now and shipping right now, it's a little out of whack. So it's hard to get you know, the cost that we were getting a few months ago is probably different than today. So even if it wasn't able to cover it, you know, the city would be able to pick up the remainder of it. And this way it would, you know, still be, you know, able to go through. So, you know, so this way it's not, even if you come up a little short, we can still provide the remaining balance, you know, to get it purchased. Because we feel that this is something important, not only for the city, but also for the commission to kind of promote and kind of create an event towards, you know, if we're able to get everything ordered and purchased in time. That's the one thing that I can't guarantee, and you know, but we want to, and I feel like this will be something big that the commission can kind of put its stamp on and get out there to the public. So
one advantage of this that I've seen is that we wouldn't have to pour a concrete pad. That's something that's held up other bike rack projects in the past, if I remember
correct.
Right, Greg.
Yeah,
because like this is indoors, it's already a concrete floor.
Yes,
it's just a question of ordering them and installing them.
Exactly.
Christine, though, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, not at all. Thank you. I think it's a great idea, Tanner, to have like sponsored by or our name up there, you know, as many of those racks as we can. Are there racks, and I don't know what people think about this, but the kids have all these like these laser scooter things, or razor, I don't know what they call them. And like they just throw them on the sidewalk when they go and play somewhere. Is there a rack for those at all?
For a razor scooter?
You know, like, yeah, for skateboard rack or scooters and stuff where they can park their thing and lock it up. I don't know.
Not to my knowledge. I mean, I don't know about young kids, but I see people bring skateboards and scooters on the train for actual commuting, and they just fold up. Like the razor scooter condenses down pretty compactly, and a skateboard obviously is just
okay. If they wanted to go somewhere, I did actually see a photo of one in like California and stuff. They have them.
Of a scooter rack.
Yes, something for skateboard rack and stuff. Yeah, but the other thing is, I noticed down at Veterans Park, I think this was accurate. There's only one and it's way far by the marina. There's not any more where the restrooms are, where people play soccer and stuff, that big soccer field. So
Yeah, we've discussed this once before.
oh, okay. And I also noticed, sorry, there's only a couple at the beach too. Like I think we could have them spread out along the beach by the calf pasture beach over there. I just noticed that was like a couple down there, but I do have an idea for the event for Bike Month. But I'll wait, Tanner, till we get to that. About the bike racks, we talked about it last time with a scavenger hunt, and Colin is kind of weighing in on that too.
Yeah, okay. We'll get to that as soon as we're done with the budget. Judd, though, go ahead.
Chris, last year we put together a list of our recommended locations for bike racks. Do you remember that?
I do, and we had the beach on there in Vets Park, and we put them there, right?
I think so.
We do, but we need more down there is my point. I think we need more. If we're gonna get them, I just noticed that could be a place to put them.
I mean,
Okay.
I think that the capacity considerations aside, like the racks that exist there are just really poor racks. And I think it would be worth replacing them even if we didn't add any capacity, strictly speaking.
Yeah, we definitely need one more at Veterans Park, maybe two, because you have that huge field there and that little tiny, it's a very small bike rack and you can barely see it. It's by the office where the marina is.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it's flooding over there. So half that bike, not half, but part of it was submerged underwater after it rained.
The one at Vets Park?
Yeah.
So I completely agree, and I think we would all agree that the more bike racks we can install in these key locations, the better. But just to talk about how that would work practically, in past years we have used our budget to buy bike racks, and they have then just sat in storage because we bought them thinking, oh well, there's so many places to install them, we'll have no problem installing them, and then there was no follow through. We didn't actually install them. And in some cases, it led to pieces going missing and then the bike racks were unusable. So we want to avoid that going forward. And TMP has told us that pretty explicitly. That going forward, that if we're going to buy some piece of equipment that we want to install in the city, that before we spend the money, we need to have a concrete idea and like approval from stakeholders about where it's going to go.
Well, Tanner, the list that we put together last year, a lot of those locations were the former bike share pre-approved locations because I think almost anywhere we put a bike rack, it has to be approved. Greg, by
Yeah, so if in most of the spots, especially if it's on a sidewalk or something to that avail, we would have to just get an encroachment permit
Right.
just to place them. So that's just the detail there, but also not only the area in which it in, like you say, put them in, put them at calf pasture. Well, where at calf pasture exactly? We would just want to see like the exact location. This way, while we're doing the ordering process, if it needs a concrete pad, then we can go out and do the concrete pad while we're waiting for the rack to come in, rather than, well, we got the rack, so where are we putting it in a calf pasture? And that just causes delays and time. And since we're dealing with other departments, such as, at any park, we're dealing with rec and parks, and, they can do it when they have time to do. So we want to not get into that habit of doing that. So that's why we want to have an exact location locked in prior to purchasing.
Yeah, so there's 6 pre-approved locations. And
Right.
My understanding was at the end of last year that James Emery
Yes.
from the parking authority was assigned to fill in, to get the bike racks installed in these locations.
Yeah. I just for right now, Judd, I think what we want to do is get the ones, purchase and install that, because we already have the Main Street lot. We have the police department we need to purchase and install. And then so the Sono Station one as well, if we want to do inside the garage. So I feel like we want to get those.
Matthews Park.
What's that?
Yeah, the list is, the pre-approved locations are Washington and North Water, Main Street parking lot, Matthews Park, Bowtie Cinemas. That one is already in place.
Yeah, the one on so that one behind, and the Webster lot behind the theater is already installed. Yep. And then the one at the South Norwalk train station, excuse me, on the New Haven bound side is already installed.
Okay.
So we just have to purchase 2 more racks, one to go at Main Street and the other one to go at the police department. And then, so what we're discussing, so the city is purchasing those 2. What we're discussing here is, do you want to buy a bike rack for the South Norwalk train station inside of the garage and relocate where the existing one is now?
And get rid of those.
Yes, because they are just cheap, kind of look like pieces of a fence.
Yeah, they're schoolyard racks. So
wait, Greg, are you talking about the ones that look like a fence are the ones that are outside?
No, the ones
but
in the garage.
even inside, they're just kind of plain looking, and I think people would park inside on a nice bike rack as opposed to a cheap one outside. So that's why we want to upgrade the bike racks inside, since we are making a good a pretty decent investment in infrastructure as far as bicycling is concerned. We need to up the parking infrastructure as well.
Yeah, we're on board with that. I think what's happening here is just a little bit of scope creep. So what was on the agenda was the racks inside the garage. I think it's clear from what Christine and Judd are saying, and I agree here, that there's lots of other places around the city where it would also be worth spending some of our money, or some of TMP's money, or both, on replacing or adding racks. So I think what I would guess is that what we need to do is kind of prioritize those. But it sounds like from TMP, from Jim, the Jim's excited about doing the ones in the garage. And I think those are worth doing.
Right.
But after that, I think that what we should do is we should prioritize, and then we should come to TMP. And if we did that, would you then be willing to work with us on going, site by site and figuring out exactly how we can do them so that we can then purchase racks in the future?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, it's, and even it could be upgrading the ones that are already current, that are already there. Because I know, Garrett and I went out last year and looked at a few, and, specifically ones at Lockwood Mansion, right outside of West Avenue there. And they were just, they were not in the good quality bike racks. So, especially with, the NRVT in such close proximity, and, that's something that we need to upgrade going forward. So, but yeah, we can certainly discuss that, for future budget purposes. And if there's another location that you'd rather see for this budget cycle, then that's fine.
Well, but right now the discussion is about the Sono train station, right? Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
So I think we do want to put our remaining budget towards that. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Does anybody else agree with that?
Christine, it looked like you had something to say.
No, just so what your idea about the sign, about the sponsorship, we have to have money for that, right? How to put our name on there.
Oh yeah, Greg, were you the one who suggested that?
For the sign for the bike walk?
Or better question, do you know how that would go? Like how we would go about getting one of those? Does that sound reasonable?
I think we would just have to order a custom sign, through our sign shop, to say what we want it to say. So obviously the cost should be, it shouldn't be much. So, for as in regards to that, I think, we just want to get your, the commission's input and see if that's something that you want to pursue with the, putting the new bike rack there.
Okay, so can we take a vote to approve our budget to be used for the bike rack in the Sono garage?
Well, so like Colin said earlier, let's get everything on the table and then we'll vote on all of it.
Okay. Okay.
But we're almost done. Christine, though, go ahead.
Yeah. So, and Teresa's here. We talked about bike education materials for events.
Yes.
Like copying costs, and I'm sorry, and maybe with Teresa's help, the number that's coming to my mind maybe is between $200 to $500 for that.
Okay.
And I don't know, Teresa, if you want to weigh in on this.
It depends on what the materials are that you're trying to copy. I know we had bought a bunch of the quick guides from the American League of Cyclists, and those were really popular. I know, Christine, you had a lot of PDFs that you had copied for summer camps.
Yeah.
And really that would just be a matter of getting a quote from Staples about how many pages it is it color, what's the paper thickness that you're trying, like you can make that copy job any price you want it to be, depending on how complex and how many pages you do.
Right.
So I looked back in my records and couldn't find that information. I don't know if it went through Caitlin or somebody else, but I couldn't find the quote. But I mean, I think a few $100s seems reasonable.
Okay, thank you.
Unless you're looking for some real glossy,
no.
foil stamps,
yeah, no,
wedding invitation type print job.
Yeah, no. So if just bike education safety materials, maybe as a line item, Tanner, for around 300, I guess.
Yep. Putting it on now. I've got a list that I'm putting together.
Thank you. That's all I have.
And then a couple other things for our radar, and then I think that's it. We have Delene, who dutifully takes our notes and posts our notes on the city website. We do pay Delene. Delene, do you know off the top of your head how much that comes out of our budget every year, or no?
I'm not really sure. Greg, do you know that?
I would have to check the line item from existing years, Darlene, and see what it is. I don't know if it's gone up, or I don't know if it's changed at all. But I can look back and see what it was in the existing years.
I think I just found it. I think it's, I found a ledger that I got back in August. Let's see, fiscal year 22 is the one that starts in 2021, right? Does that sound right, anybody?
Yeah, Tanner, I knew that there was financial documents, just like a spreadsheet, I should say, financial Excel spreadsheets on just the month-by-month cost of the Bike Walk Commission. I know Nancy was keeping, and Maritza was kind of filing as well.
If I had to guess, I'd say it averaged around 2,000
for the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that lines up with what I've got here. It looks like it was 166 for 1 month. So
yeah.
If you multiply that by 12, that comes out to just about 2,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm going to put that on here. And then the last thing that is on my radar is was supposed to happen last year, and that's the NRVT grand opening. We were planning that with the NRVT, and it was going to be a big deal, and then it got postponed. It looks like it's going to be in June, and we're still invited to have the same role that we did last time, which is to help drive it and to help pay for it, because the NRVT said that they had some money, but they hadn't really allocated any appreciable budget for that event. So the number that I've been, the very, very rough round number that I've had in my head is 2,000 for that event. And that would be to potentially purchase some banners to put up with our logo on it, or maybe a logo that says Walk Norwalk or Bike Norwalk. And then also some swag. And I guess we've already budgeted for some swag here. So maybe it's more reasonable to lower that number a little bit. Anybody want to comment on that? I apologize for not having more concrete numbers, but also the event hasn't been planned any more concretely than it was like 4 months ago. Any comments?
Yeah, Tanner,
Go
also
ahead, Audrey.
in the proposed budget was some refreshments when people reach the endpoint, which was
That's right.
the Maritime Center. Yeah, you know, water, juice, maybe some cookies, something to fortify the folks. And we talked also about having some live music, a little bit of live music, and there would be a modest, it was included in the original budget estimate.
Yeah, do you remember off the top of your head roughly how much was going to be for the music for the ukulele group?
Ukulele group. We weren't sure. We thought maybe a couple $100 because I think there's 6 musicians. They're called the Cukes for Connecticut
right.
Ukulele.
Right.
And also there was a bagpiper that was going to play at the ceremonial site on Riverside to kick it off and also send pedestrians or bicyclists on their way down the NRVT. So there were 2 occasions, but that fit into that overall estimate of about 2,000.
That's right. So it sounds like maybe if we have the swag paid for, then it comes down to paying musicians, buying some refreshments, and then whatever other durable goods like banners we want to buy. So I'm going to put down a rough 1,500 right now, just as we work these numbers out. Let me share this also with everybody so you can see my math. Okay, can you all see this window?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this is actually 70. Judd, can you pull up those numbers you had for the bottles, the bags, the stickers, and the helmets?
Yeah, hold on.
He had a total of about 4K, Tanner.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to break it down into the
2,400, I believe, was the
helmets.
Helmet.
Yeah,
The water bottles, 592. The drawstring bags, 792. The bike Norwalk stickers, 150. And the helmets, 2,400.
Okay. So here's what we got. I think this is everything that's been discussed. I'm going to shade these because they are all part of the same group. So if we assume 1,500 for the grand opening, if we assume 300 for the education materials, we take the numbers from Judd, we extrapolate from the number that I found for Deline for taking notes. We got these 2 items for the National Bike Summit. Based on my cursory check, it looks like actually the tickets are for individuals, not for organizations. So this might be 140. That puts us at 8,000, which means if we are going to hit 10,000 for a yearly budget, then that gives us about 2,000 to spend on racks. Greg, I think I remember you saying that the racks are somewhere between $400 and $500. So that gives us 4 to 5 racks, which is enough to fill a parking spot, I think.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Christine. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So yeah, regarding the May and Bike Month, that there may be some, but depending on what we do, some need for a little bit of budget money for there.
So what are you anticipating?
Well,
if we have an event, we can give out the swag that we're already buying for events.
Yes,
all 5 of these.
Yes,
what else?
that I guess that's, yeah, prize for a scavenger hunt was one thing, but I was talking with the recreation, Robert Stowell, and he's interested in this idea of closing off a portion of some street for 2 hours on a Sunday. And I wanted to partner with the health department. Teresa's here. And I don't know who, I guess we wouldn't need to pay for the police, right? The police would come and they wouldn't charge us for that.
It depends. I think sometimes for events, you do have to pay for police presence.
If they're part of our bike walk, though, commission, aren't they like kind of honorary members here?
I mean, they do have a de facto, or that's the wrong word, they have somebody who serves without a vote, and that's Sergeant Galino. That doesn't mean though that they will work for free.
Yeah.
Like if we need a police presence, they still have to, you know, pay people to be there.
Yeah, so I don't know what the rec department, the health department, and us combined to pay for the police for us for an event like that. That's all I want to tell you.
And Christine, if you're going to close off a street, also you also have to put it in front of the traffic authority as well for approval for a special event.
And you have to buy insurance probably too. We would, the commission, I think somebody usually needs to, right, Greg?
Somebody usually needs to, and I think that's part of the process for traffic authority approval as well, because we're already getting events for the summertime that's being put in front of the traffic authority right now, that happen every year. So so you would have to put a detailed plan together, and you know it's March, so there's, if you want to do it for Bike Month, you got 2 more traffic authority meetings before then.
Thank you. Maybe I can contact you. I'll call you in your office, maybe talk a little bit more about that. Is that okay,
Yeah,
Greg?
and yeah, that's fine. And then Mike Yosak is also the he's the staff person as well for the traffic authority as well. So if you want to shoot him an email, and I'll tell him about it as well.
Okay, I definitely will send him an email. Thank you.
Christine, I would love to see such an event. I would love to see a street opened up for pedestrians and cyclists for a little while. I've been to similar events in New York City that have been excellent. So I'd love to see that recreated in Norwalk. I do think that when it comes to this year's budget, I think it might be a little bit too little too late, depending on what the costs are. Ideally, we could do this for free. Like it would make sense that,
Exactly. That's my goal. I'll let you know. Okay, I'll let you know. That's my goal. Sorry to cut you off. With the health department, with the city, with the police department, I'm sure this can be done for free. Like, I don't know who pays for Memorial Day when they do it for Memorial Day. The insurance.
yeah, I don't know.
Christine, I'm just going to jump in. The health, I mean, we're 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year, so the health department doesn't really have any budget allocated for an event like that, but we can help support in other ways, but we don't really have, I mean, I have a much smaller budget than y'all, so
Okay.
I don't have anything right now in my budget for that.
Okay. Like I said, I think it would just, okay. I'll ask the police department too, Sergeant Galino. Thanks, Teresa, for supporting it. The rec department was very excited about it.
It's a great idea. I'd love to see it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So any other comments on the budget as it is currently outlined right here?
I think we've covered it.
Yeah, Tanner, the only thing I would say is, in addition to the bike racks, we might want to consider locating some yield to pedestrian signs and putting those on there on an annual basis, just trying to increase the numbers that are around town, but they're both important.
So that it's a good point, and we bought those in the past, and the ones that we bought still haven't been put to use. I meant to follow up with you, Greg, about this. Off the top of your head, do you know what the latest is? The stanchions that we bought that Colin's talking about,
right?
They were distributed to the school district, and they haven't done anything with them yet. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, they were, the last time I spoke with them, they were waiting for the weather to improve before they put them out. So I'll have to, now if the weather's starting to turn a little bit, I'll have to follow back up with them again and see what their plan is going forward. You know, because unfortunately it's outside of our control what they're, you know, what they've allocated them for, but that they mentioned last time they wanted to save it for the nicer weather.
Sorry, was Norwalk High on the list, Greg? Because Norwalk High has one out. It's out all the time.
That might have been a previous one, Christina. I'm not sure. We like I said, we just kind of gave them to the schools to use and distribute where they, you know, felt they had the most need for them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure how they allocated them.
Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but Colin, I imagine that what I described with the bike racks earlier would also go for the stanchions, and that going forward, if we want to purchase them, we should first nail down and get approval from whatever stakeholders exist before we purchase them.
Tanner.
Okay. Do you want to take that as an action item and start working on specific locations so that we can maybe, because in theory, we could buy those as soon as we have next fiscal year's budget, which is only 3 months, 4 months away. Do you want to take that on, Colin?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing what you find. Okay. Any other comments on this budget, or any motions to go ahead and approve it so that we can get the spending going?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Great. All in favor? Go ahead, Colin.
No, I was just going to say that there was some discussion about the digital attendance for the lab. I was going to say we should maybe budget for two tickets.
Yes, I've done that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, it's not very clear, but it's $70 a person. I've got 140 here.
Oh, one more little idea. Sorry. I know. Oh, sorry, Colin. Are you finished?
Yeah. Right.
Go ahead, Colin.
That's the membership in one person.
No, the membership is 75 for the year.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
And
I'm doing it on like half screen, so it's tiny.
Oh,
gotcha.
Here, it might work if it might help. Maybe. Okay, that's it's about as small as I can get it. Yeah, okay. So we had a motion. All in favor of this budget?
Sorry. One more
Christine.
thing. Sorry. I know Nancy would have sometimes a guest speaker, and then we would have a little dinner. Maybe when we're going back in person, we could put in for just because I know we've talked about having some guests to speak, present.
Mm-hmm. So just like everything else, I think we need to line up the speaker, or at least have a decent idea of who it would be and when it would be, and then we can allocate we can spend the money for it. But I think this isn't the time to bring up like brainstorming ideas for the budget. We need concrete proposals so that we can spend the money. I would love to get a speaker. I would also love to meet in person, and I'd love to have some food together, or maybe some snacks together at a meeting. These are all great ideas, but let's get some concrete proposals for what, when, and how, and then we'll spend the money.
Yeah, and Tanner, just so I'm clear, this is the remaining budget, right, for 21-22, and then we will be.
Well, it is the remaining budget, but as far as I know, we haven't voted to spend any money this year.
Yeah, so we, like the stuff Christine is talking about could be 22-23.
That's true.
I believe so.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, the fiscal year ends at the end of June, which is why we're doing this now.
And then we'll
for this fiscal year
about budgeting for next year.
So I guess the first step on that, and in case Greg or Deline, do either of you know if there's been any movement about meeting in person, doing a hybrid meeting?
So, I mean, I don't know, Deline, I don't know if you know more than me, but when I was told it's, unless the mayor, and the mayor's office decides, for right now, we're still doing Zoom. I haven't heard anything other than that until the mayor's office tells us otherwise.
Yeah, same here. I haven't heard any different either.
Okay.
So it's not like we're the only ones still on Zoom. All the majority, pretty much actually all of the commissions are still meeting via Zoom.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't think that we were being kept in the dark there.
No.
I'm just looking forward to whenever we all go back.
Yeah, Tanner, I didn't mean to interrupt things too much there. Let's finish the motion.
Yeah, okay. All in favor of this budget? I can see 3 hands, and Sam, your video's off.
Oh, aye.
Sweet. Judd?
Yes.
Great. That's unanimous. All 5 of us. Cool. Let's move on then. As I mentioned in the agenda, I need to leave it at 7:15 as last month. Christine, do you want to talk about Bike Month?
Okay. Are you leaving, Tanner?
I'm going to leave in about 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you for everything.
But go ahead. What's your vision for Bike Month? What do you want to do?
Yes, so I do need a little help. I guess we'll start with Sam and with the bike clinic, because that was a thought that was thrown out, an idea But to have a few events, and we focused on maybe a few. So with the bike clinic, maybe the bus bike demonstration during that clinic, maybe a little bike safety, go run through if we're giving out the helmets. But the big thing is for me would be to have the scavenger hunt with all the bike racks in the city. And also if we do get they close the street. So those would be the two big events. And, we have Memorial Day, so they would have to be sometime in maybe the second week in May.
Yeah, I'll be away for Memorial Day, so that's preferable.
Yeah, we can't have it during Memorial Day or even that week. That's just wouldn't be respectful, and it just wouldn't be good because there's enough going on. But so I need help, like the scavenger hunt. I was talking to Nancy Rosette. She actually called me because she didn't want to have us doing the same thing that they were going to be doing, their events with our events for Bike Month. So those are my three ideas. Yeah, and she had a good idea about the scavenger hunt, so we would have a map, Tanner, you send me the map of the racks, and we'd have kind of the list with little clues, like, I don't know, racks at the tracks, like at this train station. Then they knew now, oh, the train station. And then at the rack at the tracks, there would be a little, like a number, and they would write it down so we know they went through, or somebody, there was like a little message there, and somebody would then say, they have to write down what was the message at that. So we know they didn't Google Map and kind of not cheap, but so that's an idea. And then to have maybe a shortened version for kids, like do they just have to find 5 of the racks? But I need help. This is a big kind of undertaking, but I was happy Colin showed some interest and excitement about this, and also some experience with this. So I'm happy to do legwork around this.
Let me just try and summarize quick before I go, and then I'll turn it over to Judd and he can lead the rest of the meeting. But your vision is for Bike Month to be a series of events that we sponsor, and assumably promote on our social media and otherwise. And that maybe the big central event would be this scavenger hunt, where we try and get the public involved by doing the scavenger hunt at bike racks, and then we have a prize at the end.
Right. And we do this in partnership with the health department, maybe the rec department, maybe. Definitely the health department. Teresa's here.
Tanner, if we wanted to meet offline about this, would we have to hire Delene to keep minutes, or could we keep our own?
In my experience, if we've done like little focus group subcommittee type meetings, we haven't, it's been less formal like that. So I'd be comfortable with that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Chris, maybe let's plan on getting on a call of our own and workshopping a couple of ideas almost like per hour, so we can kind of really think about what we already have, because we may not need much more than what you've already brought to the table.
I'd also, just to chime in, I'd love to help promote this on whether it's social media or in the Spinnaker buildings around the area. I know I spoke to Tanner and Greg and Carly about doing a flyer of some sort with like information. I could see like an infographic or something with Bike Month information that we could kind of circulate online. That could be great. So I'd love to help with this in whatever way I can.
Thanks, Emily. That'd be great.
I'm sorry, who was speaking? I can't, for some reason, I didn't see your name.
Hi, I'm Emily here.
Oh, Emily. Hi, Emily. Thank you.
Christine.
You don't have to go on video. I just want to get your name. Thank you.
Follow-up question for you, Emily. Is Spinnaker, are they the ones that own like the Ironworks? Or is that somebody else?
19 Day Street, North Water Street.
Oh, cool.
That kind of group. But I live in one of the buildings. So I do see the flyers come through our email sometimes.
Yeah, I actually completely independently, I connected with, I think the property manager for the Ironworks, and she said that she'd be willing to share flyers. So now we've made 2 connections there.
Yeah.
But I am still in need of somebody to actually design a flyer because I don't have those talents. Is that something you could do?
Absolutely. Yep.
Sweet. Then yeah, Christine, let's make sure that we keep Emily then in the loop so that she can help with our promotion.
I was going to say, maybe Emily, I can reach out to you and Sam and Colin, maybe. Colin, or do we have an affirmative that you can help with this scavenger hunt?
Yes.
Thank you.
Cool. Then Christine, will you,
Oh, sorry.
you
What
set up
about
a-
Teresa? Oh, I know you have to go. What, Teresa?
Yeah.
Will you help
Roll, do you see the health department playing?
with the health department? Yeah.
What could we bring to the table? I can ask Julia what her availability is over the next couple of weeks.
I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let us know how we can help.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, so Christine, will you spearhead that and set up that subcommittee or focus group meeting
Yes.
and keep that moving forward? Awesome. I'm going to turn the leadership over to Judd because I got to scoot. But thanks everybody for your work on the budget. And I will see you all next month.
Bye.
I also need to leave. I had intended to leave at 7, but wanted to hang out for the budget stuff. So I also need to drop everyone. Sorry.
Okay.
I will see you next time.
All right. Take care, Sam.
Bye, Sam. I'll email you.
Yep, that sounds great, Chris. Thanks.
Is the last thing on the agenda is the repaving and restriping schedules. And Greg, in past months, we talked about how we might get a heads up from you and your contact with DPW about what their plans are for paving, just so we could consider those streets and you could tell us what you're thinking and we could give some input on that.
Yeah, so I did speak with Tanner about this the other day, and we kind of came up with a little bit of a plan. You know, we don't want to duplicate work of what we're doing. I mean, TMP does go out.
Yeah.
You know, I have a good example for you in a little bit, but we do go out and measure the cross section of each of the roads that is planned to be paved coming up this year. And, you know, Jim and Garrett do meet with DPW on a bi-weekly basis. So we are working alongside with them on the paving, and anywhere we can take advantage of, you know, any of the distance, you know, that's the curb allows, then we're definitely going to, you know, put a bike lane in. Our goal is to use, you know, every inch of the roadway we can, you know, without, you know, having to move the curb and putting a larger expense attached to it. So if it allows, we're certainly going to look to install bike lanes. And one of the examples I just want to put out there is on the paving schedule this year is West Avenue from Butler Street up to Mott Avenue. And so Jim, Garrett, myself, and Kyle Benjamin, who's the traffic analyst, we all went out and we took some cross sections of the roadway every 50 to 100 feet. We were just going back and forth, measuring the curb width. And our plan is to put a conceptual design together for striping so that when it is, you know, the tough thing is that we don't know what the timeline of when these roads are going to get paved. Yes, it's on the schedule, but it's up to the contractor and his availability and, you know, any utility factors as well of when these are actually going to get paved. So like for the West Avenue, we went out, we've already gotten ahead of it, and we've already begun putting together some conceptual plans for striping and seeing if we can build upon the bike lanes that are already on Belden Avenue and see if we can continue that south going on West Avenue
and that
building upon that.
That's Mott to where?
Mott to Butler Street.
Okay. So yeah, that's great. You guys are doing that. And I think what the commissioners would like to know is, you know, when you're planning that, let us know so we can think about it too, because as I've said before many times, you know, we live here in Norwalk, and Greg, I know you do too, but, you know, Colin is a regular commuter. I commute over to Westport, and I do use the Strawberry Hill bike lanes and County Street and all that. Chris rides, and I just think there's a lot to be said for our actual boots on the ground. So
of course, yeah. And when we do measure road, you know, I can certainly share with you what our findings were and what concept that we're looking at for the specific street, and you know, we'll get your input and your comments on it. So I just want to avoid duplicating work, and you know, like what we were doing today isn't something that we, you know, what we kind of we don't want you doing, because we weren't, we're, going back and forth crossing the street trying to measure the road with the wheels. So we don't want somebody going out there with a tape measure running across the road in the middle of traffic trying to get, a curb width. So we definitely don't want that. So, but we can certainly share with you guys what we found and what we're planning as well, and get, hear your input and what, if there's any changes that you see need to be made for each individual roadway. So that's just an example of just one road. That's not for all road. That's just for what we've done for one road. And we want to do that for every road that's planned to be paved this coming year.
So do you think going forward on the agenda, you could have a list of roads, streets that you're looking at? Like on this agenda, you could just say, yeah, under the restriping, TMP is looking at West Avenue between Mott and Butler.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Good.
Colin, does that sound good to you?
I think that sounds good. Yeah, I was going to say that maybe to condense it, he could have two sections, which are, there's probably the paving schedule, which I think is published in total, right? And then if Greg could just identify the probably two categories of that, and it's ones that you've looked at and then ones that you're intending to look at in the near future. I think that would be very useful.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can, each month I can update you on the ones that we've looked at and ones that we haven't, and kind of play on a month by month basis. And obviously some roads, if they're a small local roadway with a cul-de-sac on it, tucked away, it's on the paving schedule, that's probably not a road that we're going to look to put bike lanes on, just because of the low volumes and and the low traffic. So but yeah, a lot of the roadways we can definitely look at, and I can share with share with the commission of what we have looked at and what we plan to look at.
Yeah, I'm not thinking every road on the paving schedule is going to be discussed.
Yeah. That wasn't what I was suggesting, Greg.
No,
I know what you mean. I just wanted to put it out there to make sure, because looking at the paving schedule this year, there are a lot of local, small, low volume roadways that are being proposed to be paved this year. So yeah, we want to hit those main corridors that will help improve the bike connections around the city. Okay. that we can build upon.
I think we're happy to let you lead, so to speak, and you tell us what you're looking at, and then
we can share you throughout the paving season and let you know where we're at, what we're looking at.
Okay.
Hey, Greg, related to that, I have one question about the lane width.
Yes.
I know there was some press a while back about Jim being able to reduce the minimum width,
right,
I guess. What is that currently?
So what we're looking at now is, 10-foot lanes where allowed. Some roads like West Rocks, for instance, we went with 10.5 because the horizontal curvature in the roadway, and the use of heavy vehicles as well. So when we do look at a road such as that with some, that could have some blind spots, and, there are some horizontal curves and high truck traffic, that's something we take into account. And, maybe we do go a little wider and some stretches where, 10.5 to 11 is more safer than a 10, but anywhere we can look to get in a 10-foot lane, we're definitely going to explore that. So a lot more goes into it than just the actual width. It's, looking at the volumes and the truck traffic and what the sight lines look like. So each street will have its individual kind of aspects that will determine what the road width is.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Any other last minute questions here? No? Okay. Could I have a motion?
There's a couple in Q&A.
Yeah, I think, another one just came in here.
I did have a couple of questions too, if you guys can hear me.
Yes, go ahead, Evan.
So have we given any consideration, or has it been brought up in the past to, I know we talk a lot about bike safety from the cyclists point of view, but like raising awareness to vehicle drivers, because in my experience, like the greatest danger on the road is uninformed drivers. Like there were conversations in next door, last summer especially, where people don't know that they can cross a double yellow line to pass a cyclist, which is, I mean, a horrifying situation. And I was just really disheartened by the level of, I don't know, just lack of basic knowledge of sharing the road. So I don't know if that's something like, have we thought about doing some print stuff or anything like that?
We do have some print, jumbo postcards. I don't have one right here, but if you send me an email, I'll get some to you. I keep them in my car, and they, on one side, if I remember correctly, they have basic bicycle regulations, and on the other side, they have walking regulations suggestions.
Right.
Nothing specific about the double yellow line and being able to cross that.
Yeah, we do post on social, and maybe that's something, Judd, we can talk to Tanner about, just getting a rotating, string of posts on the Norwalk websites for awareness. That's the kind of thing that, needs to kind of churn through and be circulated.
Sorry, what, Evan, did you mean for the drivers, for education on how to when cyclists or pedestrians, for a driver for that?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I find like vehicle drivers are the biggest hazard on the road in my experience, because they just don't know what the rules of the road are in a lot of cases. And that to me is more important than just about anything, because usually when a cyclist perishes, it's because of a run-in with a vehicle. So to me, it hits close to home. But it's I don't know. I feel like that's the priority.
Do you have any thoughts of like where to get that information out to the drivers besides social?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing that I always like think of when I'm biking for hours and hours by myself is like the little signs that the sound cyclists, whatever, those little yellow ones that are on the road, they're fine, but they're tiny. Like that's the thing, is like you got to really be looking for them, and the words are like minuscule. Even me, like going fairly slow or relatively slow on a bike, I have a hard time reading them. So I don't know if that's, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but driving, as I was driving and participating in this meeting, which is probably not ideal, but it just dawned on me that is the biggest hazard. And I didn't hear that kind of addressed in any of these safety things that were brought up.
Well, thanks for your input. We've talked about it before, and I know Audrey has done some work in that regard too.
Yeah, with regarding traffic safety, there was the beginnings of looking at the Department of Motor Vehicles, their handbooks for safe driving, and also driving schools.
Right.
What exactly is being communicated in driving schools, and what's being imparted to the new drivers? I guess high schools also that still have driver's education. So looking at driver's education and permit tests and what is imparted to potential new drivers when they get their licenses. So some of this might fall into the category of education at that level. DMV, driver schools, and driver's education in public schools. Those are three areas that we were starting to look at. So, that's where they need to learn what the rules of the road are. And as more people are walking and biking and desiring that, drivers need to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one other question, Judd.
Yeah, there's a question from Ben.
Yep, about that's probably for Greg, I would say. Greg, have you guys identified any scope for doing road diets when roads are repaved?
Yeah, so when we do, so yeah, we always look at, is there ways to change the road from an operational level? We're not only just looking at just the width of the road, see what we can fit in, but we're also looking at the traffic volumes, turning movement counts at each of the intersections. Because the biggest thing is we need to still keep the street operational. A lot of roads, obviously, like you look at West Avenue, for instance, that small stretch, it'd be hard to change from 4 lanes to do a road diet to 3 lanes and then go back to 4 lanes again, along West Avenue. So, but that we always look to, we always look to see what would make the road safest for everybody as a complete street level of thought, not just for only vehicles and only for pedestrians. We want to do it for every type of vehicle and every type of mode of transportation, whether you're walking, biking, or driving, especially if you're driving a heavy duty truck as well. That's also a large consideration. So we look at all those factors when we look at each road, and we never kind of look at it as one size fits all. We have to look at each road as an individual aspect and see what would be the best fit for each road. And also you sometimes with the road diet such as that also takes some more heavy infrastructure, some bulb outs and curb extensions that, cost, a lot more money in that regard. So we're always, of course, open to road diets if all the data supports it and it allows for the specific roadway. And I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. Also, in my mind, we have some examples of some road diets. Something that Colin worked on over by between NCC a few years ago, right, Colin?
Oh yeah.
I thought that came out
sort of a
well.
diet.
Well, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it worked well, and it may not seem it to a lot of people, but Strawberry Hill, compared to what it was 10 years ago, 10 years ago, the travel lanes were like 16 feet wide. And I know a lot of people have complained about the bike lanes and the parking over there, but the travel lanes are narrower and there are bike lanes there.
And we always try to look, sometimes all it takes, like I said, is just narrowing the travel lanes.
Yes.
When you have a 14-foot travel lane and on a straightaway, we noticed it today when we were out at West Avenue. We noticed cars, flying by going 40, 50 miles an hour. So just a simple, lane reduction can definitely mean a large difference. And just putting a simple edge line on some roads can definitely deter speeding in areas. Right. So it doesn't always have to be a high cost item to lower traffic speeds.
Yep. So let's see, looks like we. Okay, well, Ben is asking about Cat Pasture Beach Road by Marvin Elementary. Seems like another good spot for a road diet. I think we all agree there.
Yes, yeah, that is on our list to look at. And, obviously as Judd, we've talked about before, we are, conceptually looking at the roundabouts, at 5th, Gregory Boulevard and Marvin, yep. Leading into Calf Pasture. And then again, wanting to look at Calf Pasture, we are, looking at that as another potential project. It is on the list of another potential areas to definitely be studied and looked at to see what kind of improvements we can implement there. So it is on the list. It's just the list is very long these days. So we're advancing every project that we can with with what we're provided.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Ben. Those are good questions. And anything else before we wrap up here? Anyone? Someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you,
Thank you.
Billy.
Night, everybody.